guys, welcome back to Prayers and Ponytails. I am Jess, and if you're new here, what I like to do on my channel is just talk about my journey of homeschooling. This is my first year homeschooling officially. My 4-year-old, she's 4.5, and she is doing pre-K and K work, and then I also have a son who will be 3 soon, and he is just kind of tagging along and doing what his big sister is doing at his own pace. And so today though, I have 25 books that I got from Thriftbooks. This is just kind of showing you the books that I picked up from Thriftbooks. This is my first order from them. And I want to share with you kind of my feelings on the company as well, and then show you kind of what the books I got. So if that's interesting to you, then keep on watching. So bear in mind, all these books are geared towards kindergarten age because that's what I have, preschool to kindergarten. And then I think some of them are going to be great for even older than that. And I don't really have a lot of books, honestly. I was never a big reader growing up, and I don't really have any childhood books. We had a house fire when I was younger, and so all of my childhood books are gone, and I haven't really built up a library of our own here, and so this was kind of my first step into buying a lot of books, 25 books, and I'm just kind of, one order at a time trying to build my books up. And I figured, having new books are nice, but if they're gently used or, very good condition, then why not get them at a really great discounted price? Because most of the things that you will see on my channel, I do not buy at full retail price. I am very much a bargain hunter, so Thriftbooks is definitely right up my alley. If you don't know what they are, they sell on Amazon, but they also have a website, thriftbooks.com, and this is not sponsored by them at all. I actually heard about them through another mom YouTuber here, and she's from Taming the Frizz. I'll link her channel down below. But I saw her haul and I was like, wow, that seems like a really great website. So I checked their website, and there are thousands and thousands of books. It's pretty much like a resale shop online, and you can search by title, you can search by category, you can search by age. All the different searches are on there. It's really great, really easy to use. And there's also, you can search by like how good of a condition you want. So there's acceptable, there's good, there's very good, there's like new, and then there's new books too. So, and that's kind of where I found a little bit of I'm not so sure if I agree with things, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's just get into the books. Eric Carle. So I don't really have any Eric Carle books, and believe it or not, I never really grew up with them. I don't know if my mom just didn't really, I don't know, I don't remember reading a lot. I remember Brown Bear, but other than that, like The Very Hungry Caterpillar, I think we actually have. Anyways, this looks really cute online, and it's called Little Cloud by Eric Carle. And so this was a like new condition, and it was only a couple dollars, which I was really happy about, but it's, I just wouldn't call this like new, okay? And this is not going to be a video about me bashing thrift books at all, believe me. I just want to let you know, if you're thinking about maybe ordering some books for, Christmas presents and things like that, and you want them to be like new, like in new condition, then you just be warned that they might not be, you must just take the risk of it. So anyways though, it's still, there's no rips or anything like that in the book, and it's just a cute book about a little cloud who turns into all these different shapes, and then joins a family at the very end and makes a rainstorm. I thought this was a really cute book, and it's a really quick read for a quick nighttime bedtime story too. I have another classic here, and that is The House at Pooh Corner, like Winnie the Pooh stories, and this is a book with not very many pictures, and I actually really like that. My daughter, I read her the book version of the video Frozen, so on Amazon Prime you can download that for free, and there's not any pictures in it. And she really did like, though, just listening to her read aloud without any pictures. So I wanted some books that didn't have a whole lot of pictures, or even didn't have a lot of colorful pictures in it, and that she could just kind of listen to and have little cute stories. And I loved Winnie the Pooh growing up. Speaking of Frozen, I got 2 Frozen readers here. This one is actually a step into reading, and it's like the level 1, and so it actually does have really simple words here, really simple sentences, pretty much just like statements, not really a full story. And it's just a really quick, simple book. I actually read it to my daughter, and she read some of the words with me. So yeah, this was in a pretty good condition. And this is another step into reading. This is 5 readers all into one. So it's like these ones here, but it has 5 stories in one. And so she was really excited to see that. They have really cute, beautiful pictures and very minimal words. So I was really excited to see that. The last fiction book that I have here is The Secret Garden, and I think this is kind of very fitting for the time that we're in right now, because my mom just actually they moved into a new home, and there's a really cool garden that has kind of a mystical looking, just really cool setting in the back of her yard. And so I was like, oh, it's like the secret garden. But Brooklyn, my daughter, didn't really know what that meant, and so now we have a book that can kind of, you know, make that come alive. And I remember this story growing up, and so I'm looking forward to reading it to her. Some of the books that I was most excited to get were actually Usborne books, because I was actually doing a Usborne Facebook party, you know, hosting one for my friend at the same time that I made this order. And so I was kind of seeing, though, like, what do Thriftbooks have as far as Usborne? Like, could I get a $15 book on Thriftbooks for only $3 before I decide to make my order on Usborne? So yeah, I was really excited to see that they did have some really great books. They don't have everything, obviously, and you can't really know the condition exactly what you're going to get. So anyways, though, I did get the 1001 Things to Spot in Fairyland. I love these type of things to spot from Usborne, and my daughter is really big into fairies and mermaids and unicorns right now. And so, I mean, she knows they're not real, but they're just really cute and girly and sparkly, and she just likes that. So I was really excited to see this book. The outside looks awesome. Unfortunately, when I opened it up, I realized that it was completely water damaged, and so I mean, you know, all the pages were stuck together. I've gone through them, and I have, you know, torn them apart. It does have some of the, you know, the pictures kind of missing and stuff because of it being ripped and water damaged. Now this book, though, if you want to see kind of what it's like, it's really, really, really cute pictures, and you just go find, you know, 6 pink flower fairies, and so you have a really beautiful scene going on here, and then you have to find 6 flower fairies. And it's easy for kids who don't know how to read. They can just see the big number here if they know how to read their numbers, and then the picture, and then they can look through them. So we have a couple of these 1001 things to find. And I actually contacted the company through email, a couple of my books that I wasn't really, that they were, you know, kind of ruined and torn. And I just said, hey, you know, is there anything that you could do about this? And they were really quick to respond to me, and I was obviously really kind. I wasn't like, I hate this kind of thing or whatever. And they were like, oh, I'm so sorry that it was like that. Let us send you some replacements. So they did say that they're going to send a replacement of this. It is obviously readable, but some of the pages are completely really torn pretty badly because of the water damage. Thankfully that they are sending a new one, and we'll hopefully that one will be new. Because, yeah, because this was supposed to be like new. Next one is the Usborne Ballet Treasury. My daughter is really into ballet as well. She loves dancing. I think I'm going to sign her up into some kind of gymnastics or ballet soon. And so this book just has different costumes that ballerinas wear, and then it goes through like different movements, what they have in ballets, and then how to actually do a ballet. They have famous ballet stars, famous like types of ballets. They have the Nutcracker in here, how to have different acts, and just all the different things. I think this is actually a little bit advanced for my 4.5-year-old. I think she really did like looking at the pictures at least, and we'll go through it, and we'll be reading this for years to come, I'm sure. And this is in awesome condition. The sleeve cover is really great, and even the hardcover. It does have writing in here, but that's fine, you know, from somebody's grandma who had this before. But just the condition is in really great condition. On the similar vein of it being in a great condition, this is the Usborne Book of Myths and Legends. I signed up my daughter for Classical Conversations this year, and we're in Cycle 1. If you're familiar with Classical Conversations, it's a homeschool group, and they do go through the whole timeline starting from, you know, pretty much the creation and ancient history all the way through. These stories might be a little bit advanced for my daughter, but I do want to kind of introduce just the concept of what people kind of believed back then and back in the times that we're kind of learning about. So these have really beautiful pictures. It's more of actually those stories, and I have looked through here. I need to look through here a little bit more to kind of decide which ones I'm going to read and which ones we're going to skip over, because she doesn't need to know a lot about, you know, different gods. I'm still trying to teach her about the one true God, and so I just thought this would be a great book, and it was only $3, and it's in awesome condition, and just thought we'll see how much we use it. Another book that actually is something that you can't buy anymore is this Usborne book of Peoples of the World. I really want to incorporate different cultures and how I think I might even use some of the master books when it comes to this, the ones that Ken Ham has written or Answers in Genesis has written, because I really love the thought of that we all are one race. Everybody just has a little bit of different skin tone and different hair color and different language, but there's a reason for that, and we all are just still the same race. We're mankind. We all came from Adam. But I do want to have a couple books of different children, kind of create some exposure to different cultures. Okay, so right off the bat though, I see here Usborne is not a Christian company, and so I know that there's quite a bit of evolution, so I'm going to definitely, you know, use that as a learning topic, but probably not right now at 4 years old. Just goes through different countries and has some kids wearing what they wear there, and then what the houses look like, what toys they play with, and it just looks really neat. And there's also internet links to different YouTube videos and different resources that you can print off and even use as learning pages and things like that to add into the school day. So I'm thankful that I was able to get my hands on something like this for a really great discounted price. More Usborne books. We have castles, we have cats, and this is called the Usborne Beginners book series, level 1, and I love these. My daughter has a couple of these books. One is about ponies, and they're really simple books that have really great drawings and pictures of the animals, and then just kind of like chunks of information that are pretty easy for even a 3 or 4 year old to understand, and they are just really adorable books. They're not very long, and I know on Usborne they're only like $5 if you order directly from Usborne, but I got these I think for like $2 a piece, and they're in great condition. And castles are awesome because it's kind of the time period that we're learning about, and she really wants a cat. So atlas. I actually have a lot of different atlases from Usborne. I think their atlases are awesome. This is the children's picture atlas. I'm not sure if it's sold anymore through Usborne or not, but this one is just talking about, again, the different climates, the different areas of the world, what people look like that live there, and you know, this is grasslands, mountains, rivers and lakes, so just different things. And then also how to read the map too. You have ice and snow, deserts, just basic, but at the same time really pretty and fun to look through. And so this is definitely just going to be a resource in my geography area of curriculum. So I personally actually am horrible at geography. I love traveling. I've traveled to many places around the world, but when growing up, I just didn't really memorize countries and things like that, and so I'm really looking forward to even learning myself as I teach my daughter. And lastly, for Usborne, is the See Inside the World of Dinosaurs. And so this here is Lift the Flap, which I love Lift the Flaps from Usborne, so I was really excited to see that. Online they said it was in like new condition and it was only $5, so I thought that was just an awesome deal. And unfortunately though, they did send me one that was quite ripped up, and some of the flaps are even ripped in here. So this is one that they said they'd send me a replacement of, but it just has different facts about dinosaurs, and obviously, like I said before, some of them may not be true, but I do like to go through and read my books with my kids, and so I will be aware of what we believe and what we don't believe. And some of these pictures are pretty graphic, but they aren't too scary, I guess you could say. Like this is one that my kids actually think is pretty funny because he's like, you know, he's a T-Rex, and then he goes and he has a kind of a scary face, but it's nothing too scary. Another company that I really like and I kind of grew up with in my homeschooling life was the DK books, and I didn't really get many from Thriftbooks because I had so many in my shopping cart already that I only grabbed one. But this is the DK My Art book. And so in Classical Conversations, we do something pertaining to art every single week, and different art concepts, and also I think different artists. And so this kind of goes over different art concepts. So this one's kind of funny, you know, making art with vegetables and fruit. There's just a lot of different ideas. Freeze frame. There's all these famous paintings, as well as how to paint like it. So I think this is a really neat book that obviously she can't read by herself, but I can even use it to help kind of create something for art. I tried to incorporate some kind of creative art or sculpting or even Play-Doh, you know, something like that every single day in our school days, because I think my daughter really loves that part about school, and it's something that really does help to just develop the brain even more and help to have a creative outlet for all of this facts that you're getting. Sometimes it's just nice to create instead of always be retaining all these facts from, you know, how to read, how to do math and all that. Okay, next is I really want to do more behavioral books. Actually, what I really like for behavioral books, and we do have, so I guess I should say that I also have some of these, but are the Berenstain Bears books that are the Living Lights ones, because these actually have scripture in them. Berenstain Bears, or Mike Berenstain, I believe, is the one who wrote most of them, but then I think he also added these Living Lights ones that are more bold in the Christian faith. So some of them kind of just left out Christian faith, but it always had good virtues good virtues that you learned in their stories, but these Living Light ones don't shy away from scripture. And so I really like that. And this is the I Can Read too, so it has kind of simple to read words, although it still is a little bit advanced for where Brooklyn is right now. But as far as understanding the concepts, it's very understandable for a 4-year-old. And so this is their 5-in-1, I believe. I believe there's 5 stories in this one book, and it's all about how to help friends. And I think that's really great because it's something that she is a very helpful girl, but I think she can always use the encouragement to be more kind and to be more helpful. So that is a book that is in great condition, and I'm really looking forward to reading those with her. Another one is this Little Book of Manners by Courtesy and Kindness for Young Ladies. So I think they do have a young boys one as well, and this is kind of an old-fashioned book because as I was looking through it, I didn't really know a lot about it. JDA here on YouTube, she mentioned this book, that it's really great, and so that's kind of what I went off of, and I do think this is great. It talks about how to greet people with manners, how to talk on the phone, what to do for mealtime manners and things like that, and it's just a little dated, that's all. Like, you know, there's no cell phones, there's regular phones, and it's talking about writing stuff down in your address book and things that honestly I don't think my 4-year-old will ever need to do. I don't personally have an address book, so I know my mom did. I remember our little black book that we had by our phone that had phone numbers and addresses, but we don't really need that now in this day of age. But that's besides the point, because this is a book about manners and just how to be respectful, and I think it's going to be great. I don't know if we're going to sit down and read chapters from this or anything. I think it might just help me to articulate to a younger little girl how to have manners, and so it's probably going to be a good resource just for me and to be able to translate to my daughter. Okay, now to kind of classic reads. I have the book of Fables by Arnold Lobel. They're just fables that you've heard throughout the years, classics. This is in great condition as well, and like I said, high percentage of the books that I received were in great conditions. Little book of fables that I thought would be fun to read, because sometimes I forget about classics. You know, my daughter may not even know really about Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I think that there's just something good to have, kind of keeping those traditions and keeping the classics alive. So I know Goldilocks and the Three Bears isn't a fable, but fables usually have a good kind of message tied to it, you know, tortoise and the hare, that type of thing. So that's another kind of virtues book in a sense, but it's not necessarily going to be my foundational virtues book. We have nursery rhymes and fairy tales collection, and so this is the one that has a lot of different books that are in it. So it has Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, Little Red Hen, Ugly Duckling, Cinderella, Aladdin, Snow White, Frog Prince, Little Mermaid, Rapunzel, Thumbelina, Rumpelstiltskin, Sleeping Beauty. It has a lot. They're not obviously the Disney versions of, you know, Sleeping Beauty and things like that. That's fine. I don't think she needs to have everything Disneyized. These are just the classic stories. And so they have really great illustrations and not too many words per page, although I will be definitely reading these to her because, at least for now, she doesn't know how to sound out many of these words. But still, like I said, I just think it's great to keep the classics alive, because I think just when we reference things, sometimes we reference things without even realizing it's tied to a classic fairy tale or nursery rhyme. So, yeah. What do you guys think about that, keeping the classics alive? Am I being just too old-fashioned with that? Is that not really something that anybody else thinks about? I don't know. That's just something that I thought would be kind of a good thing for us to have in our library. And lastly, we're going to end on a book for my son. He didn't get many books in this thrift book haul, though I'm sure he'll be listening to the nursery rhymes and all the other things that we did get. But I did get this one intentionally for him. This is The Little Engine That Could. Actually, it does have a sleeve on it, but I already took the sleeve off of it and put it away for safekeeping, so that way my son could look through this and not worry about tearing that. This is in great condition, and obviously this is just the classic of The Little Red Engine That Could. It says, I think I can, and then at the very end he knew he could, and I just think it's a great book for not giving up. So I just realized I left out a good chunk of books, and so I kind of had to reset up things, and I just want to quickly show you the counting books that I got. So this book here is called The Icky Bug, the Icky Bug counting book, and I think this counts up to 15, and it just goes through a bunch of bugs. Let's see, 9 colorful red milkweed beetles, just like different type of bugs and the numbers, because I'm teaching my son how to count to 20 this year and teaching my daughter how to count to 100, and I think that, and there's also concepts of like thousands and millions that you'll see, so we're really reiterating numbers this year, so there's quite a few books about that. Like this one, The 100 Days of School. This one is actually all about just hundreds. And the fun thing is, though, is that we do have a sticker sheet in our daily schooling where we're counting up to 100 days of school, and then after 100 days, we're going to do something really big and fun. And so they're kind of doing a countdown to 100. But this book goes like, if there are 2 tiny bugs with 50 legs, that makes 100. So it's just kind of always talking about the number 100. And so that's The 100 Days of School. And we have Millions of Cats. This is by Wanda Gag, and this is a black and white picture book. And it's about this man who I believe ends up having millions of cats. I think he starts off with wanting just one, and then he goes searching, and he ends up with millions. Well, here is a great deal of water, said the very old man. Each cat took a sip of water, and the pond was gone. So that kind of shows what a million is, reiterating how big numbers can be. Then we have a really pretty book. I believe this is a classic, but I've never read it before. This is Anno's counting book. It doesn't have any words in it. It's just a picture book. It starts off with 0. There's nothing. But then the scene kind of layers. So then it goes 1. There's 1 house, 1 tree, 1 sun, 1 bird, 1 snowman, and then it keeps going and adding until you get to, there's 9. So I believe there's going to be 9 birds. So it goes up to 12. Sorry, the lighting on here is really bad now. really enjoy these illustrations and just the concept of how simple it is counting. Then we have counting by tens. This flower has 10 petals. I think it's just counting up to 10, not necessarily counting by tens. It's alright. And then we have my little counting book. This is kind of like a book that I would leave out as well, that they would just be able to look at on their own. And it's really nice and thick and really good hard cover. And it goes all the way up, I believe, like, so it goes really quickly and even into counting up to 12, counting up to 20, and then asking questions like how many seashells are there in that little square? How many petals are on these flowers? Counting to 100. And I can even say like how many yellow ducks are on here? Count by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that counts all the way up to 100. So this page will actually be really good for helping my daughter count to 100. And those are the counting books. So that was my haul. I hope it wasn't too boring or too long-winded. Definitely let me know if you've ever bought anything from Thriftbooks, what your favorite books are, what your favorite authors are. Like I said, I'm not a huge reader. I want to develop it more. I'm actually reading a lot more now than I ever have with my kids. I've always been more of a nonfiction reader, more like self-help books, and those aren't really fun books to read to your kids, right? So I am definitely open to hearing some of your favorite classics, especially read-alouds without many pictures, but with really good stories and easy to understand for 4 to 5-year-olds. That would be really great if you could recommend any of those to me. Also, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing an unboxing for my Usborne books that I recently purchased, and so that's going to be a lot quicker because I didn't have 25 Usborne books that I bought. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you again in my next video.